Welcome to this week's episode of Analyzing Chazal. This week we'll be analyzing the commentary of the Sforno on this week's Parsha, Parshas Yitro. Let's go to the Pasuk. Perek Yud Ches, Pasuk Ches. The Pasuk says, Vayisaber Moshe lechosno, Eis kol asher asa Hashem leparo lemitzrayim al odos Yisrael. Eis kol atla asher mitzasam baderech vayatzileim Hashem. And Moshe told his father-in-law everything that Hashem did to Paro in Egypt due to what they did to Bnei Israel, and how Hashem saved them from the difficulties that occurred to Bnei Israel on the way. The Sforno, Bara'ov, Batsomo, V'Melchemet Amalek, Ubazeh Horeh Hashkachaso Aprotis Alehem. When Bnei Israel were suffering hunger, thirst, and the battle with Amalek, and through this it showed his individual divine providence to Bnei Israel. Hint. Was this the only thing that occurred that Yitro heard that would show Hashem's divine providence? Okay, with the information you already have in the hint, can you come up with the question yourself? Here's the question. It seems from this foreknow that what convinced Yitro of the divine providence that Hashem had with Bnei Israel was how Hashem helped them get food and water in the midbar. But Yitro himself had heard of the 10 plagues that occurred in Egypt as well as the splitting of the sea, even before hearing about these other miracles. Is it even possible to say that the 10 plagues that occurred in Egypt as well as the splitting of the sea alone would not have been enough to convince Yisro of the divine providence Hashem had with Bnei Israel? The answer, as we always say, comes from within the question, which was, is it even possible to say that the 10 plagues that occurred in Egypt as well as the splitting of the sea alone would not have been enough to convince Yisro of the divine providence Hashem had with Bnei Israel? The answer is yes. And the reason could be that there is a difference between what happened in Egypt, which was an incredible miracle, which showed Hashem's great love for Bnei Israel. But what Yisro needed to see was that Hashem was involved in the regular mundane needs of Bnei Israel. When Yisro saw that Hashem was involved in even the mundane aspects of life, that gave him the full realization of how Hashem really deals with us with divine providence. The practical application. In our lives, we many times live without Hashem, even though over the last couple of years we have seen tremendous miracles that occurred in the wars with our enemies. When it comes to our mundane and day-to-day lives, we forget to incorporate Hashem into our lives. This happens because in order for us to realize that Hashem is involved in every aspect of our lives, it is not enough to see the big miracles, but we need to focus and look for Hashem in everything that happens. The more times we can see the hand of Hashem in something that happened, the more we'll be able to ingrain the fact that Hashem is always dealing with us with divine providence into every aspect of our lives. Have a wonderful Shabbos, and we'll see you next week for Parshas Mishpatim.